Guys, today I'm standing at the XLRI Jamshedpur campus. The reason that I've come to this campus is to talk to students who've already cracked the XAT exam, got a very high percentile, cracked the interview and made it to XLRI Jamshedpur. अभी कैट का एग्ज़ाम इज़ ओवर, कैट का एग्ज़ाम हो चुका है, तो अब आपको अपना मेन फोकस XAT के एग्ज़ाम में करना है. तो मैं खुद कुछ वीडियो बनाता, उससे बेटर है कि मैं लोगों से पूछूं, which is why I've come here. I came here for some other few events as well. You guys might know about that. So let's go to the students and we'll ask them first of all how they cracked the XAT exam and maybe a few minutes down the line how they cracked the interview. So guys, these are the students who gracefully agreed to share a few important insights about the XAT exam. Now of course they've got a high percentile क्योंकि सबसे पहला मैं आपको बात बता दूं कि XLRI में रिजर्वेशन नहीं है. So everyone who makes it to XLRI, they've made it on a general merit score on a high percentile. First of all, I'll ask your introductions. आप अपना नाम थोड़ा सा बताएं and tell us about your XAT score so that people can know what is the score needed to make it to XLRI.
So hi everyone, my name is Sugandha Singh and I scored 97.22 in XAT 2023.
Myself, MD Sohail Malik, I scored 96.6 percentile.
My name is Nilesh Patel. I scored 97.2 percentile.
Perfect. So everyone is above 96. So I also took the XLRI, I gave the XLRI interview 2013. I had a 94 percentile. Generally XLRI calls even at very low percentiles. But as far as I have seen and as far as I know is because of the weightage given to the XAT score, which is more than 50%, generally people with 95 above are able to convert, which you can see here as well.
Yeah.
Now the first question, which is the most important question everyone wants to ask, कि अब जब ये वीडियो निकल रहा है and CAT का preparation people will be done with and they would have taken the CAT exam.
Yes.
So how can people mold their preparations to suit if you actually need to mold the preparations, how did you mold or how should they mold so that they can crack the XAT exam?
So taking you through my journey, my focus was on CAT 2022 and if you see there's a 2 months gap between CAT and XAT. So CAT mostly happens at the end of November and
Perfect.
then we take XAT in January. So one thing which is common, like there are two aspects which is common between CAT and XAT, that is verbal and quant. So that section, the students who are already preparing for CAT, they are well versed with those sections. The only difference and the differentiator between CAT and XAT is the decision making part, and it also carries a good weightage because if you know XLRI is known for its ethical focus. So that is where I feel that I did the most work. I focused a lot of my attention to the decision making section and I took mocks for that because I was fairly confident on my verbal and quant section, but decision making was something which I was attempting for the first time. So decision making is a very important aspect because many students fumble in this because you get very similar options and you have to be very confident because there is a negative marking. So for that I think molding you can do easily with two sections, but for this particular section mock is a very good thing that students can do to prepare.
When you say that you individually for yourself took mocks, did you take full length mocks or just decision making?
So there are sectional mocks that you get from the various websites, so you can take. My personal focus was on decision making because I had not practiced it before, so major of my time that I contributed was into this section. So that is how I divided my time and put more focus on this.
There's one more perception that's there in the MBA market. It's been there since I prepared for a decade now, that XAT is supposed to be the toughest of all MBA exams, which is also why a lot of people also do not take the XAT. It's also after CAT and they're like कि CAT का preparation नहीं हुआ तो XAT नहीं देते हैं. How true is that? And if it is true, then how can people tackle this?
Well, I would say that both the exams are on similar lines. As Sugandha said, that only the decision-making part is quite something out of from the normal other MBA exams that we give.
If you could first tell us generally what is the cutoff score generally for say an XLRI call?
If you score more than 32, 33, there is a fair chance that you can get a call.
So the first thing is that you only need 33% marks to get an XL call.
Correct.
So even if the exam is difficult, I think 33% marks should be achievable. I think.
What I would suggest that the English portion is a bit tougher than what is asked in CAT because they also have some sort of poetry section. The comprehension part also have some difficult text that we have to go through at the time. So for my preparation, what I did, I opted some courses from the GMAT verbal part, and it helped me a lot in cracking this comprehension part. And apart from that, the verbal and some grammatical parts, if you have enough practice. I would say 1 month of practice is enough. After the CAT exam, you can delve into that and make proper practice, and you can get a hunch what type of questions are they coming. And most important, I would suggest that take as many mocks as you can, because that gives you a clarity what sort of attempt that you need to make, what are your priorities that you need to make, and what are your strength and weakness, and you can work upon that. So I would suggest that these are fairly some of the things that you must keep on the top of the mind and prepare in those lines. And yeah, the more you prepare, it will have a more chance that you get a convert.
What is the difficulty level of verbal and quant generally? Is it generally higher than CAT?
CAT had a fairly higher
Difficulty level.
difficulty
Okay,
in
okay.
terms of the quant part.
Okay.
But for the verbal, yeah,
That is
has a
difficult.
higher-
Understood. So verbal is difficult, decision making is new,
Yeah.
quant is almost similar and easier if not difficult.
You said that there is a myth in the market that XAT is one of the toughest exams, most difficult exam. Difficult, I would not agree, but different, yes. It is actually a different exam. So for students who are appearing for CAT and who are not very confident about it, they have a fair chance that they can do very well in XAT. In fact, if you take out the data, you can observe that most of the students who top the XAT exam are not the ones who topped the CAT exam.
Well said, yeah.
So it is a different exam and it requires a slightly different strategy to crack. As far as decision making is concerned, I would like to suggest that it should be treated like a regular English comprehension question.
Okay.
And as XLRI really emphasizes on creating responsible leaders of tomorrow, it is not just about creating business professionals. So it is one of the most important sections in XAT. And if you treat it like a normal comprehension question and use your common sense to attempt those questions, then it can be a game changer actually in XAT. So in my opinion, it is a different exam, requires a slightly different kind of strategy, but it is not a difficult exam.
Okay, I would dive in a little deep here. You said that decision making should be seen as English comprehension. You said that for decision making you should take mocks. But okay, these are exams. How do I get the mindset to develop the ethical element in me as a student if, say, I may not have that, inherently? How do you crack that?
The starting point should be previous year's question papers
Okay.
and the solutions that XLRI releases on its website. Mocks are good for practice and they should definitely be followed. But the reference point should be the solutions that XLRI provides officially, especially for decision making, because the decision making solutions can vary a little bit from what is there in the market and what they are actually proposing.
Very well said. I will summarize the points that Sir has made here. First of all, the toppers of CAT may not be the toppers of XAT. The low scorers of CAT may top the XAT, and this is very true. The year I got XLRI calls, both BM and HRM, I got no calls from CAT, and I had even filled forms like IMI, IMT. My score was very low in CAT. You could make out, but I got an XLRI call, all calls from XAT, of course. Because of what you're saying, verbal and decision making, I just got a lot of high scores. Secondly, he's mentioned that for decision making, along with the mocks and more than the mocks, you should solve previous year question papers with XLRI solutions, because a lot of coaching institutes may have different solutions, because there's no right answer. I mean, there will be one right answer, but everyone will have different right answers, because it's about ethics, it's not a mathematical question. So I think these are the two important points. Secondly, he's also said that is not the most difficult exam, it's a different exam. Now, different can be difficult for some, easy for some. So, well answered. Guys, we'll also now touch the two other important elements of getting into XLRI. Number one is GK and essay, and then we'll come to interview. So first of all, there's also a GK and essay element. Tell the viewers, everything about the GK and essay part. Where is it counted? When is it tested after that exam, and how important it is to make it to XLRI?
So there is a GK and essay section in the XAT exam, and GK and essay are not included in calculation of percentile. They are mainly considered during the interview rounds. So as far as pattern and timing and those things are concerned, so they keep changing year on year. So I would suggest the students to keep
the recent update,
keep updated about that. But in fact, essay was removed for some years and then it was reintroduced. So GK, and there is a short essay. It does not require you to write a flowery kind of English.
Very verbose or English, yeah, sure.
That is definitely not required. You should be able to express your ideas very coherently and very clearly.
Structured way.
In a structured manner. So that's what the essay requires. As far as GK is concerned, I would suggest that there are many YouTube channels. So students can follow any YouTube channel to keep abreast of the latest current happenings. In
They may
GK.
not be CAT ka YouTube channel, right? GK ka to kuch bhi ho
Yeah.
sakta hai. Which one did you follow if you had?
Actually, I used to read newspapers
Newspapers,
regularly,
perfect,
so
perfect.
I did not have any problem in GK.
Cool.
But I am just saying
Sure.
that if students don't have that habit of reading newspapers every day, then they can use it as a hack.
Sure.
They can follow any YouTube channel and
Last month, all the concise updates.
last 6
sure,
months
Sure.
updates would be more than enough.
Perfect.
I can add on the GK
Sure,
part. So personally for me, I was there's a Drishti IAS, I think, if you are aware. They release monthly editorials.
Divya Kirti
And-
ji, yes, yes.
So in those editorials, you get all monthly updates, whatever has happened in India and in world. So if you want, you are not able to, give time to newspaper every day, you can just download at the end of the month and just go through and you will be well through your GK.
And guys, we had discussed this before the interview. She cracked both BM, Business Management, and General Management program of MBA. So when she's saying and telling this, then do follow this, the Drishti IAS.
Drishti IAS.
Cool, perfect. Now going on to the weightage part. So to summarize this, you mentioned that GK is not counted in the XAT total score. It's only counted for XLRI. So if you want to make it to Goa Institute of Management or XIMB or IMT, other colleges through XAT, then GK score gets invalid. Is that true? I mean, depends on the college.
I would not suggest that it gets invalid.
Okay.
Maybe they have a different way of.
Okay, depends on the college what scores they want to take.
They may introduce for their selection.
Understood. But it is very important to get into XLRI. In the interview stage, it becomes
it's factor
important.
set, yeah.
Sure. Now I want to talk about the interview stage here. I want to know from you because you cracked both BM and GM interviews. Now there's also another perception in the market. It's actually true that XLRI interviews are more comprehensive, longer, and tougher to get into compared to say even old IM interviews. And I'm fairly sure of that. So if someone wants to get into XLRI, crack the interview stage, what would you advise to him or her, and how was in short your interview experience?
Sure. So I would start with my interview experience first. So I didn't crack CAT call. So I didn't get any CAT call. So that was the first interview that I encountered. And when it started, I was well versed with my resume. That is the first thing that you need to know. And in both GM and BM interviews, the experience was completely different. My GM interview was fairly, very smoother, and they took through all the points of my resume, and they had a very, calm and composed. They were not grilling me basically.
Sure.
But when I talk about my BM interview, so I had an experience of project management previous to this MBA course, and I was involved in land acquisition for the greenfield projects.
Okay.
So in my BM interview, they took that particular point of land acquisition and they formed the entire interview based on that.
Okay.
So they asked me all the latest laws that are happening, what would happen if different land degrees, different industries that different category industries that use different kind of land.
So in short, you're saying that whatever your work experience
Yes.
is, you have to get in depth into that.
Yes, and not even like whole work experience. They took one point
Okay.
from my resume and they formed the whole interview.
Understood.
And it lasted for 30-40 minutes, and all of it was about land acquisition.
Sure.
So if I hold a land for 30 years, will I be legally the owner of the land even if I don't own the land? So all these nitty-gritty, whatever is attached to your work experience, you should be well versed with it. So interview, you need to go well rounded with your resume. That is the first point that you need to make sure. Everything in your resume you should be very sure of, with the numbers if you're put in your resume.
Sure.
So that is the first advice I could give for the interview.
But you also ask GK questions in the interview as well? Not-
If you see the latest laws and reforms that have occurred in land acquisition, if that is counted as GK.
So related to
then-
work
yes.
exam. Understood. I would like to add my interview insights as well,
Sure.
because I didn't crack it, but at least the questions. So I studied from DPS RK Puram, and they asked me what is the full form of RK Puram. So even that's in a way related to what you're saying. So whatever you're related to, you should know the nitty-gritties of those things. You should not be not self-aware. They want, I think, self-aware students, ethical students, because I believe that only self-aware people can be ethical. So thank you for this.
And just one another point. So even in the area that you are staying in currently, you should be well aware what is
Yeah,
happening in
cool.
that area. If you are born in a different city, you should know about that city. If you're living in a different city, you should know about that city. So that is also a very important part.
What's the economy that's going around in the city?
Yes.
Sometimes they ask through those lines.
Thank you so much for these wonderful insights. Very lucky that I got hold of you all. In short, last minute tips for people who want to crack XAT, one-liners. If you
I would say you prepare a lot of mocks
Yeah.
and have a clear mind before giving the exam, and best of luck.
Perfect, thank you.
My would be don't consider it as a do and die because that creates a added pressure.
Sure.
You should be going with a very positive mindset and just go and give the exam as per your best ability.
Sure.
I totally agree with what Sugandha shared. That the mindset on the exam day is very important. Students should be in the right mindset to write this exam because it requires a little bit more tougher level of English comprehension and decision making, and practice is the key.
Perfect.
As much as they can practice is the key.
So don't relax your wings. Even for that, at least few days after you take the CAT exam, take a lot of mocks, focus on decision making, and tell yourself that that is the only exam now that you want to crack, the main exam that you want to crack. Thank you so much.